What a thriller. I'm still catching my breath, and I know all of you are with me. Philadelphia Eagles go into Buffalo. They get a stop on a 2-point conversion as Buffalo tried to go for the win, and the Eagles come out with a stunning, thrilling, shocking, nail-biting win to pick up their 11th victory of the season. And going into Sunday Night Football, the 2 seed still alive for Philadelphia in the NFC. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. My name is Chase Sr. As always, thank you so much for supporting the show. And no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I appreciate you for supporting the program here. 13-12, the final score from Orchard Park, Highmark Stadium. A potential preview of what could come in February in Super Bowl 60 at Levi's Stadium, the home of the San Francisco 49ers. And really, this was a game of two halves. I loved what the Eagles did on offense and on defense in the first half of the ballgame. Jalen Hurts was very efficient after the first drive in which the Eagles went 3 and out on 3 consecutive passing plays after they elected to throw it in a driving rainstorm when it's windy and cold. The Eagles offense found some balance. They had some explosive plays. They had Jalen Hurts operating from under center that led to some plays downfield. Off of play action, a deep shot to A.J. Brown, the touchdown to Dallas Goedert. And Philadelphia, against one of the top teams in the NFL, arguably the best team in the AFC, a team that has won 4 games in a row, took a 13-0 lead into halftime. That lead lasted until the fourth quarter. This Eagles defense, Super Bowl caliber, Vic Fangio continues to do a hell of a job since week 7. Philadelphia is giving up under 15 points per game, number 1 mark in the NFL. And they had Josh Allen under wraps. They pressured him all game long. And we're talking about Josh Allen, a potential MVP. You know, he's right up there with Matthew Stafford, right up there with Drake May. And this Eagles defense played phenomenal, especially led by their front. They were able to sack Josh Allen 5 times. They had double-digit pressures. They held Josh Allen to 23 of 35. Only 7 carries for 27 yards on the ground. And through 3 quarters, it was a highly impressive performance from this Eagles team, really in all 3 phases. Offense, defense, special teams. And you're like, man, this is what a Super Bowl caliber team looks like, right? But as much as I loved what the Eagles offense did in the first half, I hated what they did in the second half. Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo, sporting that 13-0 lead, got conservative. And they didn't run any aggressive plays after the break. Philadelphia had under 20 yards of offense after halftime. And I hate the way that the Eagles managed the game and coached the game. Because the Bills, number 1 second half scoring offense in the NFL, at around 16 points per game, you knew at some point you're not going to keep Josh Allen bottled up for an entire 60-minute ball game. And you were asking way too much of this Eagles defense to just get stop after stop after stop without this offense literally doing nothing. But somehow, this Super Bowl caliber defense hangs on late. The Bills score 12 points in the fourth quarter. On the first touchdown that they scored, Jalen Carter had a game-winning blocked extra point that made it a 13-6 game. Still up by 7. Important. Because then the Bills go right down the field in the last couple of minutes. They take the clock down to just a couple of seconds. They score on a Josh Allen tush push. Sean McDermott, a fraud, by the way. The Bills voted to ban the tush push this offseason. I remember being at the NFL Combine. We were hounding Sean McDermott about the tush push, and he said, I'm voting against it because I think it's a dangerous play. It puts our players at risk of injury. Well, Sean, you've been running it all year. You've been running it 4 years. You went 0 of 3 or 0 for 4 in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs with your failed tush pushes. And Josh Allen scored on the tush push to make it a 13-12 game. Does Sean McDermott not care about the safety of his players? Anyway, quick shot at the former Eagles defensive coordinator. And Sean McDermott elects to go for 2. Bills have all the momentum. The Eagles offense had not done anything after the break. If you take this game to overtime, I like the Bills' chances of winning it because of the signs we saw from this Eagles offense. Buffalo goes for 2, and this Eagles defense stands tall once again. Now, I think that Josh Allen missed the throw along the back of the end zone, and I think he was very frustrated with himself for missing that throw. He clearly wasn't right in the second half when he got sacked by Moro Ojomo. He kind of twisted his ankle. But the story of this game, this Eagles defense getting after it and putting together a performance that is up there with what they did against Lamar Jackson last year, what they did in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. And they shut down a quarterback who is an absolute alien. 6'6", can make plays all over the yard with his feet, can make any throw on the field. He made a couple of insane plays in this game, and you made him look human. Now, he had 262 passing yards, but in reality, a lot of those numbers were inflated because a lot of those numbers came in the fourth quarter in garbage time when the Eagles were playing a little bit of prevent late so that they didn't give up an explosive play to allow the Bills to score. But that is a one-of-one, very special quarterback that this Eagles defense had his number all throughout the day. You go into Buffalo, raucous environment, tough place to play, cold, windy, rainy, and you pitch that type of performance against that quarterback, that is big-time stuff. I've been saying this for weeks. This Eagles defense can lead Philadelphia to back-to-back Super Bowls, and you saw today that they're capable of doing that here in 2025. I like how Philadelphia can match up against any quarterback, any offense in the NFC and in the AFC. But it's this Eagles offense that could hold this team back. Now, context always important, right? You build a 13-0 lead, and your defense is playing so well. I understand to a certain degree why Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo are going to grow uber conservative with their play calling and what they want to do on offense to try to manage the game. But when you're going up against a quarterback like Josh Allen, no lead is ever safe. And the Bills are tied with the Bears this year for 6 double-digit second-half comebacks. Nearly happened. You have to play to win. You can't play to lose. And when you coach the game in a conservative fashion like that, you run the risk of losing a game that you had no business losing, where you almost spoiled such a memorable defensive performance. It is hard to play offensive football when the weather conditions are as such. Literally a driving rainstorm all game long. The rain did not let up. It was also cold. It was also windy. And so you're not going to have your most flawless offensive game. But at the same time, I think the Eagles could have avoided this game becoming a nail-biter if they just coached a little bit more aggressively. And in the playoffs, if you're going up against the Niners in the first round in a 3-6 matchup, or the Rams in the first round, even the Green Bay Packers, if you advance and you play the number 1 seed, you get a rematch against the Chicago Bears. I'm just throwing teams out there. All of those teams have aggressive quarterbacks with aggressive coaches, and you can't be overly conservative. Otherwise, you run the risk of choking away a game like Philadelphia nearly did in this one. So Eagles go to 11-5. The 2 seed is alive. They need the Bears to lose their final 2 games. It's a highly impressive win. The final Super Bowl playoff tune-up for Philadelphia against a Super Bowl contending team. There's room to get better. Defense, great. Offense, still some questions. And it's unfortunate because I loved what they did in the prior 3 games. I really like what they did in the first half. But in that second half, it was that conservative, vanilla offense that we saw far too much of earlier on in the year, really for the first half, first 3 quarters of the season. Now, the Eagles, last week, with that win over Washington, won the NFC East. First team in 21 years to win back-to-back NFC East titles. First time since the Eagles did it in 2003, 2004. If you want your Eagles NFC East champs gear, get yours today. Chatsports.com/NFC East champs. These shirts, awesome. Hats available as well. And I love the slogan this year from the NFL and for the Eagles. Been there, won that. Great deals going on right now thanks to our friends at Fanatics. These hoodies are Nike, by the way. Chatsports.com/NFC East champs. And hopefully NFC East champs becomes NFC champs and Super Bowl champs, because this team is capable of going back-to-back. We saw that in this game. So you look at the NFC playoff picture going into Sunday Night Football. Bears and Niners meet. Right now, going into that game, both squads at 11-4. They have both clinched playoff spots. The Bears clinched their division. They will be no lower than the 3 seed. But if the Bears lose against the Niners, lose against Detroit, Philadelphia will get that number 2 seed in the NFC, guaranteeing them hosting a playoff game in the second round, in the divisional round, if they can advance past the wild card round. What a victory for the Birds. And as I said off the top, we are all catching our breath because the Eagles never make it easy, but my goodness, that right there was a lot of fun. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give me a follow on all my social media pages at Chase_Senior, X, Instagram, TikTok, EAGLES Eagles. Let's freaking go.